Hello everyone and welcome to another Lewis on Cryptos. It's been a while and we are due another video. This time around, the Quora Inner Cycle team has voted for one of my favorites, Render. So we're going to look at BTC, how things have developed since the last video, the changes in the account, and also I'm going to give you a few ideas, a few insights about when we can expect the top to be in. So without further ado, let's not forget this is educational, not financial advice. If you have questions and comments, leave them on the YouTube section and I will get to you, back to you as soon as I can. I wanted to start with my main long-term account and also explain to you what you're currently seeing here and the expectations for the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up to 20k. Why? The wave 2 and the wave 4, this is shallow, this is sharp. There is also alternation, not just on the pattern that we see here, but as well as on the time that it lasts. And then we have a wave 2 down here, which is the cycle wave 2. First wave finishing up here and a correction in wave 2, last year's low. Well, actually back in November 22 is not really last year, but it's barely a year and a half actually. But it's what it is. And now currently we are heading onto the first 5 wave leg. We have currently received 1, 2, maybe 3. We don't know yet, but we are in third of 3 anyway. And I will show you the short term as well. Now, what is going down here? I will tell you what I did. Okay, I have shown you a chart with the periods, and I will get back to that to make things a bit more simple. But I've also wanted to tell you why this, because sometimes it's good to validate and confirm things. So we use different methods to see whether there is confluence, and we would like to see confluence. This is the second method. So taking the first low and the halving period. Actually, what you see here, the blue lines are the halving dates, okay? So you will notice that this distance, what I actually did here, I took this distance and I replicated to the back, to the past, to see where potentially this cycle started, right? Because we got something like this, equidistant, right? So the beginning is on December 6th. If you, I mean, look in the 3-day, I'm not sure it's ideal, but just consider the dates approximately, yeah? So that means that one cycle is from here to here, yeah? So I used the bigger ones, yeah, the bigger cycles to represent this relationship, okay? You are going to notice, of course, that the relationship kept, it was okay just initially, but then we started seeing some sort of divergence. But this divergence, because you see this is the halving and the period is here. This is the halving, and then again the full cycle completed here. And this is the halving we expect, and the full cycle again is finishing here. But if you notice, look, the period from excuse me, from the halving to the full cycle completion, the 2 cycles, sorry, is around 41 bars in one case. In the other case is around 57. And in the other case, oh, we look at 3 days, right? In the other case is 57 again. So you see there is confluence in these 2 cases at least, right? So what this means is that we can use these 60 bars, 3 times 6, 18, about 3 months period or so, 6 months period, right? To kind of work out, you know, the narrative about when the top might be in. But this is like one of the ways, right? So we are assuming literally the second cycle again, right? Might be where we actually, hold on, 1 and 2, not necessarily when the top is in, sorry, 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2. This is when the well, we're gonna be full on the next season, because we need 2 cycles to go, right? But from another perspective, you know, that means that during this period here, which is up to October 24, that is expected to still be going up, because in every other cycle prior over here, we are going up. Over here, we are going up. This is just the beginning. And also, you know, what we currently see is that we haven't even entered that territory yet, right? That means that we haven't even started to move up. The bull run has not even started. We are obviously, the bottom is in and we are moving up, but we haven't even started decently moving up. The alt season hasn't even arrived yet. You know what I mean? So when we at least get to October 2024, okay, we can review where we're going to be. But until October 2024, what I'm saying is that I don't expect prices to move lower. They are supposed to be getting higher, as we've seen in any previous period. Now, here's where the interesting thing comes. The interesting thing, guys, is that if we look at the halving periods, hold on, time cycles are here. Oh yes, there we go. We're gonna try to evaluate educationally, of course, always where the top might be. And let me explain to you what I've done here. In a similar way that we looked at the low and the past and the low and what the halving is, you know, we also look at the next cycle. And kind of, if you see these two, because I'm using a full cycle here, which is, for example, from like November. Now, oh, okay, let's just count it quickly. This cycle is like 240 bars. So the other one will be 120, you see. So 120 is the half. A halving period, let's say. So from there to there is 120. And what we actually do, it's that we are replicating the period it took from the low to the halving period forwards. And what you're going to realize that exactly the same period that it took to go from the low to the halving period, it also takes from the halving period to the high. And look at this. We did a high at pretty much approximately the same time that it took us to go from low to the halving period. And this is just one occurrence. We're also looking at the second halving, from the low to the halving, and from the halving to the top pretty much. It took approximately the same time. And here's the interesting thing. We go to the third one. Look, from the halving to the low, from the halving to, not the low, from low to halving, sorry. It's as much as it is, 160 bars or so. And then from the halving to the top, approximately 160 bars. Approximately, I repeat, right? And then now, what does this mean for us? Guys, that if we use this relationship, right, to forecast where the top might be, when the top might be, because to be honest, Bitcoin is a very time-based nature-like asset. We should be more interested about timing, because timing works, rather than using Fibonacci extensions and all that stuff. Obviously, nothing wrong with that. There are relationships there too, and I'm gonna tell you quickly. But right now, what we actually care mainly about is that to look at the period from the low to the halving, which is 170 bars. And if you take that and you replicate it forward in the future, our top, it's going to be in September 2025. Now, this is very interesting. Why is it interesting? Because if we look at the relationships in the past, we talked about the cycles over here, for example, and over here, you know, and over here, and now over here. This is in confluence with that expectation that we will continue moving up and the top is going to be around September 2025. I repeat, September 2025. Yes, this is next year. Although, and as always, there is a lot of things to take into account, but it seems like Bitcoin ignores everything. Okay, the markets continue going up. There doesn't seem to be a rate cut coming either, you know. So in June at least, especially since the last non-farm payroll numbers. So that means that we are going to be extending higher with pullbacks. Obviously, pullbacks are always expected. Nothing goes up straight. More, Bitcoin could. But what is interesting here, guys, is that we see a confluence. Okay, both of these things are telling us that there is further upside. And the one with striking parallels in the previous runs tells us that the top might be in September, around September 2025. So if you are thinking, oh my God, when am I going to go in? When am I going to get out? Is the bottom in and all that stuff? Well, this chart tells you that according to previous historical data and cyclical analysis, the bottom is in. We haven't yet reached the halving period, which means we haven't yet had a top in for this run. And also, there is high likelihood that the top is going to be in September 2025. Does this mean that we're going to go to 200K or 1 million? No. It means that we're not going to have the top in until around that area. Can we go down and go up? Yes. Is it typical? No. Why? Because you're going to see at every single, apart from the 2016 case, we thought we saw a 30% downside. Every single time that we were after the halving period, okay, after, I repeat, there was further continuation without another low, okay? Even in the case where we saw a much bigger correction, around 80% down here, it was before the halving. Now we're not going to see that. And this was where I was pretty much betting on as well. And I was repeating in every single video, if you were following my videos and listening to what I'm saying, because sometimes everybody skips to look at the count, oh my God, he's wrong. Well, I give alpha, okay, for those who are interested. If you're not watching the full video, you're not taking this seriously. So, and obviously we cannot know for sure what's going to happen always, okay? We always have to present all the cases. Now, what I'm presenting still here is the bullish case, okay? Even in this case, I was betting on this. And I was saying every time I would go a little bit higher or that would extend the period of consolidation, even I would say it's becoming unlikely we're going to see a crash. It's becoming unlikely we're going to see a crash. And what is happening? We actually got a new high before the halving period. And this also is the first occurrence. We didn't see this here. We didn't see this here. It's the first time we see this, which is also bullish. Okay? Because we are moving higher even before what the past has already shown. Okay, so bottom in September 2025 all-time high. Now you might say, where are we going to go towards? Well, I think one of my members showed me the other day, so why not show you? Hold on. That should work actually. Look, roughly estimate from previous past, if we look at the Fibonacci, reverse Fibonacci, the 227 is one of the levels that typically worked. If you look at the corrections, right? It worked in the first move to the upside. It worked in the second move to the upside. And it's also, look, well, it's not worked now, but the 161 did. Okay, this is not something that we should take with a pinch of salt. So that's just not really happening. What we are experiencing currently, as the market becomes bigger, it's becoming harder to move higher. If you needed 1K to move the BTC market $100 many years ago, now you need 1 million. Do you understand that, right? It's harder because of the liquidity and of the market for this to be a very obvious case. But this is one of the ways to look at it. Another one would also be to just use the current data. Okay, and look, if we look at the 223, we'll go to 465. Is this possible? It is. Is it likely? I don't think so. What I would still probably prefer to look at this as is perhaps go to a maximum on 217. That's 220K, roughly, approximately, right? We're talking about, just use the same method. Just take your Fibonacci retracement. Since that was never reached, you know, this is what we're interested in now. But we use obviously the two structures as well to see if there is any confluence. Do we see any confluence? We see 108, we see 128, 140. There you go. So around 140, 128 in this territory, we are likely to see perhaps some sort of resistance and a period of consolidation, perhaps, or a sharp move to the downside, but nothing for an actual reversal. Well, we don't know yet, but we're just assuming. So the likely top for that run, guys, is probably around the 217 and 467. Also, we're looking at the log here as well. So these numbers are not really too not to be taken too seriously, at least above the 140, above the 220. Okay, another way is just to take that off and look at this. Hold on. From that perspective, yeah, the woods. Hold on. Well, actually. Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a nightmare. But I would say a 140K again comes up. So 140K is definitely one level that we need to keep in mind, guys, okay? Let's keep 140 in mind. Now, what has happened here? It seems like the log feature has gone crazy. But anyway, this is the long term and all that stuff. Okay, so targets and expectation for the top to be in. Now, there are other possibilities, and I quickly want to show you. Let's put this out. Let's put this out for now, and let's look at group 2. There is also this potential scenario at play where our wave 1 is here, because there is very good structure for a 5-wave move up there. This is 2. This is 3. Perhaps this is 4 with a truncation, though I'm not too friendly with that particular truncation because it's just a bit too much. And this is wave 5. If that's the case, this is then indeed a flat, because it really could be a flat. But if this is a flat, it's more probably a wave 2 flat rather than wave 4, because I see a lot of people that suddenly are getting involved in Elliott waves, calling this a wave 4 and that a wave 5. This is highly unlikely scenario, guys, okay? Because both corrections are deep and both corrections are taking a long time, especially this in particular in 4 is the largest correction that probably you will see ever in Bitcoin, unless if you assume this as a W, X, and Y. It's even bigger than this correction. So we always have to take into account how long the corrections start in a 5-wave move that we are evaluating. The wave 2 and 4. Look at time and depth. Okay, this is what we have to look. Depth and of course the actual pattern itself. I mean, it's very unlikely to have 2 sharp corrections in one particular leg, you know. I do have some other counts that I perhaps wanted to show you, and there is a bit few numbers here just to get a bit more perspective. This one lasted 22 bars if you look at the 3-day. Let's just put it on the week just to make things a bit easier, guys. I think I actually did that based on the week anyway. So look, you've got wave 2 took 22 weeks, and wave 4 here as a triangle, because it's actually an ascending triangle, took 24 days, 24 weeks. And then you have either to assume a wave 2 here or here. In the one case you have 59, in the 190. Over here you have a 52-week correction if the low is in, and you have a 117 correction if wave 4 is here. Okay, and then this also correction is 37, and this is 10. Again, I don't like the 37-10, but the thing is that this is deep and long, and this is sharp and short. So this actually fits the guideline of alternation. But if you take this correction on its own, it's 53 bars. When do we see 53 bars? We're here. Okay. So, and then here. So one could say perhaps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, but then unfortunately you cannot have a third wave here, because if you had a third wave, you have to assume this is 1 and this is 2 and this is 3 and 4 and 5, which is highly unlikely. Okay. So based on this, of course, I gave you my count already. There is also, this is a bullish flat, by the way, right? It's not necessarily a case, we're looking at 53 now, but you know, we could be falling from here, okay? A bullish flat, why? Because that's gonna go down and then bring further upside. So assume that as a wave 2 here, the assumption is that, of course, this is going to last much longer. We've already got that like 125 bars, which is the longest correction if it were to be a correction, and then it would last maybe 150, 200 bars, who knows, from there to there, I repeat, and that would initially be, of course, a wave 2 correction, the biggest correction we would ever seen so far. This is a very bullish count indeed. Another case where wave 1 is here and 2 is here, and then this is 1, 2, and this is again 1 and 2. Okay, and this it is possible but not likely, that's why it's not my main. Then you also have the super cycle 3 scenario, where this is 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Okay, this is wave 1 and our wave 2 has ended here. 53 bars, you know, we would assume that this is 59 rather than 90. Yeah, and we will also assume that 52, 59 and 53. You know, it is possible, but you know, not much likely. There is also the flat scenario where, for example, this is not really likely. Again, I said 1, 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. This is again and flat. This is one scenario that respects the flat that everybody has been calling, but if that's a flat, is not of that particular 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably of a bigger time frame. That's why I've got it there. And you also have the cycle 5th, which sees this as a 4th wave. Okay, you got like 1, 2, and then you got the wave 3 and the 4, and supposedly we're going up for the 5th. Now, with all that done, and I'm sure this is already a very long video, let me just quickly show you the short term and the two things, and then we'll go to render. So with the bottom in, okay, our basic and initial assumption is that this is a 5-wave leg to the upside, a flat in correction 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for wave 3 supposedly. We're gonna get a correction in wave 4, then 5, then we'll go down and continue up. Okay, obviously anyone could say that, you know, if this is a wave 2 correction, that's gonna be a wave 4. Can we expect the same correction to last 154 bars? We could. That 154 bars, 160 will take us to August 2024. And then we're just going to get one more wave to the upside. We're going to go to September 2024. But hold on, we talked about September 2025, right? So that means there is still much more price action to see, if you know what I mean. So although this is one of the cases, if we look at the extension, there is also a possibility that wave 3 is not done yet. Okay, I would personally prefer to have this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, because it really looks like it's going to be a triangle. But if as a triangle, it's not going to match that correction. It's going to match that correction, right? And 5. So we're going to get our wave 3 here. Then we're going to correct for wave 4, perhaps all summer, who knows, for a few months, might be correcting. That's gonna, with Ethereum going up, or Sol, or BNB, because all of them are very important in this run, then altcoins can pump. Okay, we already see these random pumps. It's just not validated. It's not confirmed yet, guys. Okay, but let's not forget, as long as we are, I would probably just tell you, okay, let's be a bit more reasonable here. If we did the 30% correction here, we might just gonna keep it to around the 50%. As long as we are above 43K, there is further potential for upside. Okay. So I repeat, 1, 2, 3, and 4, as you see, or also another case 1, 2. Maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for wave 1. That's going to be 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. That's going to be very bullish. Okay, so all of these are currently likely. And Randa, there is a few scenarios at play here. I will explain each one, but the most important thing is that all of them point to upside. Now, I don't have all the data here, but we don't need to worry about this. The assumption is that the first one was in wave 1 here, wave 2 supposedly here. One of the cases is for 1, and then you have a complex correction that includes a flat in W, a running flat in X, and an ABC in Y. And then you have wave 3, wave 4, and this is wave 5. The intermediate wave 2 and intermediate wave 4 here, there is alternation. However, if you look at the wave 4, it doesn't really last long. Okay, but still, this is a very likely case for a main scenario. I don't like to have this as wave 1 because I only see an ABC here. Okay, there is no 5. We cannot say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to assume a leading diagonal. Okay, so one of the scenarios is this, and assumes that our first wave is done here, second wave is done here, then you have 1, 2 flat, and then you have 3, probably 4 and 5. Okay, and that's going to be our third wave. But if you look at the extension of this 1, 2, that should be really driving further prices up to around $60, right, on the log. So that could be also a case where maybe this is 1, 2, and this is 1, 2. That is also very bullish. Okay. But also, what else is bullish is that, well, the scenario where there is a leading diagonal, we are assuming still the same corrective structure here. And then we're looking at this as a leading diagonal and a simple correction, which is a very nice diagonal to have, by the way. It's just that it's not so typical to see diagonals, moving that way with that. I mean, that could be considered mainly a third wave, you know what I mean? So, but either way, you see that momentum comes in that, which is definitely a third wave. This is probably a third of a first or something, but you see the relationship here. Now, what is so interesting about this is that this is definitely much more bullish, and because there is a leading diagonal here, that is expected to go to at least 33 to complete wave 3. Okay, so there is more likelihood that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the third has not even finished yet, rather than anything else. Okay, but anyway, you look at it, there is upside. And there is also one more case, guys, which is a little bit more clear, I would say. On the one hand, maybe not as likely on the other. Where wave 2 is not finished where I have it in both cases. So in that particular scenario, we would be looking for our wave 2 to be over here. And how would that work? That will work in what premise? This is W. This would be a wave X, and then you would have A, B, C, D, and E. And that would be a triangle, a W, X, and Y correction with a triangle at wave Y, in wave Y, which is a likely scenario. I repeat, since of course there is the potential for the truncation here. This is what we're looking at. So that's gonna be all for today. Leave your comments. Thanks for watching, and let's not forget, none of this is financial advice.